Hey, it's Steven with the Jones Group, and I know that we have had a big 2024, and I want to go, if you've been on the channel for a while, you know that I like to go through numbers, get into the details, do all those things, and that's what I want to do today. We're going to go through everything that's gone on in 2024, what I think is happening in the real estate market here for Northeast Florida. Now, you've probably heard a lot of stuff about what's going on across the country, in Florida as a whole, but on this channel, we're going to get really down nitty gritty into the numbers of what it looks like here in Northeast Florida. So let's get into it. So first thing we're going to look at, and once again, if you've been on the channel before, you know what we're doing here. We're going through numbers. Things that I like to look at is, let's kind of cycle through here of the number of listings. The number of listings is really, really big because you're going to see that that's going to pull into our days on market, the amount of closed sales, all of those things. So when we're looking at the number of listings, you can see it. Back in January of 2024, we're at about 9,700. Coming into December, we're at about 12,000. And so that's all here in Northeast Florida. So we're looking at about 12,000 listings currently on the market. Now, when we get into our sold listings right here, our sold listings, you can see those kind of creep. We're doing about 1,800 in January, bumped up to about 3,100 in March. And you can see this graph, hey, we're seeing it kind of went up and then kind of stayed steady. So we're seeing stuff at 3,000, 2,900. They drop back down kind of September, October, November, December. In November, which is usually one of the slowest times of the year historically, we're looking at about 2,100. So that's the number of sold listings. So just remember, we've got a bunch of listings over here that have gone live and are active and on the market, but we've got a little variance when it comes to the amount of sales that are happening. So just keep that in mind. So over all of 2024, and we'll see this more as the numbers play out, number of listings are up. So we've seen a lot of listings go up. We've seen a lot of things kind of keep going up and up and up, but we haven't seen that correlate with the number of sales that we have gotten. Those have stayed kind of steady. Those have stayed steady, kind of what we are looking at in 2023, 2022. Now going back into the COVID years, but that just doesn't make sense anymore. So we're just going to kind of throw those numbers. I always like to think of things on a bell curve, and that COVID and everything that happened during COVID, it's way over here on the bell curve. It doesn't sit normally for what we're looking at here in Northeast Florida. These numbers right here are a lot more normal of what we experience outside of the pandemic. So just keep that in mind. That's something we need to be aware of. Now, coming over here, we're going to start looking at our average list price and our average close price. If you look at this graph, it's all over the place. It is all over the place, especially when you get into kind of our sold median price. Man, it's kind of up and down. We saw a peak in March at the median. Remember, this is median. We're going to get into some average numbers here in a second, but the median price in March, we were looking at 373, 185. It dipped all the way back down in September to 348. And then here in December again, bumped back up to 365. So we have seen that sold median price, kind of a roller coaster. It's been all over. And I think we're going to see more of that coming into 2025, is we're going to see that mean sale price kind of just, it's going to bounce all over the place, and that's just what's going to happen. But if you look at our list price, we kind of run into a peak right around 400 in July. That's pretty standard. The summer, we get a lot of things coming online. We get a lot of people listing homes throughout the summer. You can see it, August 399, So it just kind of balances all the way through here. So, and then you come all the way down here into December, our active median sale price was $386,900. So once again, we're seeing a little bit of variance in there, but not a whole lot. Now, let's go back down here into our absorption rate. And you guys know, you've watched the channel, I love looking at absorption rate. And just to recap for everybody, your absorption rate is the amount of inventory that's on the market. And how long, if nothing else came on the market, would it take for all of those active homes that we saw up here, up top, all of those active homes, how long would it take for those to be sold off? This is where you get your month supply of inventory. If you always hear the talking heads say, oh, we've got this many months or this many months, this is what we're talking about. This is where we get this data. So you can see way back here in January, we're at like 3 months, 3 1/3 months of how long it would take to get those all sold off. So, and then you see this almost like hockey stick growth to July. We're looking at 4.75. It peaked in 2024. The absorption rate or month supply of inventory peaked at about 4.86 or almost 5 months. The reason that is key is because industry-wide, once you get between 0 and 5 months, that's still a seller's market. Once we hit 5 to 6, kind of a neutral market, and 6 and above is when we run into a buyer's market. So just keep that in mind. So we peaked out in November about 4.86. It dropped back down to 4.71 in December. Now, that's not a huge growth. It looks like, on the graph, it's just diving down. That's kind of standard, because if you go back up here, you're going to see that there was a drop in active listing. So that's where those numbers correlate, is active listings versus absorption rate. They're directly related. So if we see fewer listings on the market, hey, that absorption rate is going to change. So right now, what we've seen throughout all of 2024 is that we saw inventory go up. We saw inventory go up, and even coming down here, we saw days on market. And you want to talk about a roller coaster? Look at this one. So days on market back in January, we're looking at 61.1, jumped up to 64, all the way down at the bottom, and dove down to 50, back up in November to 66, down here to 64 at the end of December. So if you look at this, that's really just going to tell you that this is all very cyclical. Anytime that you look at these low days on market, that's all during the spring and summer months. That's when you see this stuff start diving down. Look, it starts March, April, May, June, bumps up a little bit, July, and then once we kind of start getting into the fall, it starts going back up. Now, one thing that everybody asks is, hey, how does it all play into when we're looking at interest rates and all that kind of stuff? If we're talking about this for 2 years ago, it had a great impact because we went from a 3% interest rate up to a 7% interest rate in 6 months. And these numbers were all over the place. But now, since interest rates have really balanced out in that low to mid 6%, the market's kind of stabilized with those interest rates. Are interest rates still having an effect? Yes. But when it comes to things like this, people aren't waiting for, hey, we're going to get, 1 or 2 point interest rate drop. That's not happening. It's not there. It's not playing out that way. So this is with a stabilized interest rate basically over the entire year. Now, have there been some fluctuations? Of course there have. But there haven't been any really big changes like we saw in 2023, where you see the interest rate double in a matter of 6 months. So just keep that in mind, because everyone plays the interest rate card. Hey, this is going to change. This is basically stabilized over 2024 of what we're looking at. Now, coming over here, and we're going to look at another We're going to look at another spreadsheet that I put together when it comes to price volume and what the volume is looking like. So we're seeing our volumes really kind of grow, which means that people are listing their houses, they're selling their houses, those volumes are going up. Now they're going up ever so slightly, as you would look down here. And we're going to get into this of, hey, we already talked about our median list price. So year-to-date 2024 over year-to-date 2023, and this is all for 2024 and all for 2023. Our median sale price was up about 5%. That's right. So the sale price, the median sale price here in Northeast Florida has gone up 5% year over year. So just keep that in mind. It's gone up 5% year over year. So the actual number, the volume, the sale price of a house is going up about 5%. 5% per year. Everyone's saying the housing market is crashing and things are coming down, but we're going to talk about that here in a second when we get down here to the number of sold listings. That's where we're going to see that things are slowing down. But over 2024, we've actually seen prices increase. Now, historically speaking, here in Northeast Florida, you're going to see prices increase on average anywhere between 3 and 7%. 3 to 7. Once again, this isn't COVID time anymore where you're seeing 18, 20, 30% increases. Where 2024 has been different is coming down here into the amount of actual sold listings. So the amount of sold listings as we look down here is down about 6%. So let's kind of wrap our heads around that. So we are seeing more inventory come on the market in 2024. We've seen more inventory. So there's same amount of houses, things are coming on the market, things are out there. We are seeing that pricing of houses, that pricing is going up. The closed pricing is going up about 5%. So pricing is going up. Here's where it all kind of balances out. And this is why we get into the weeds, we go through the numbers, we do all these things, is because you come down here and we're looking at a 6% decrease in the total amount of homes sold. This is just numbers. 6% decrease in the total amount of homes sold. So in 2023, we had 34,946. In 2024, we had 32,776. So we've got, roughly about 2,000 homes less that sold year to date. Now, does that mean, and you're probably going to hear this, oh, the market's crashing, we're having all this problem. I read an article last night that the Florida real estate market is crashing and coming down. To me, 2,000 homes less that are sold does not mean that there's a crash that's happening. Yes, it's 6%, but let's just look at the numbers. It's 2,000 homes. 2,000 homes down that are being sold. Now, when we get into, hey, what are the fastest moving price points? What are all those things here in 2024? You can look at it right here. We've got it all sitting here, all looking at it, is that the number one that has had growth increase in number of closed sales is $1 million plus. So they're up 20% year over year on the actual number of properties that have been closed. So 20%. So they went from, in 2023, from about 1,500 to about 1,800. So you're seeing a good growth in that. Now, when we talked about our median sale price a little bit before, let's kind of look at this right here. I like to really kind of go from the 300s to the 500s. That's really the bread and butter of Northeast Florida and the market in Northeast Florida, just by looking at the numbers here. So you look at these two, 300 to 400, down about 9% in the actual number of properties that are closed. So about 1,000 homes, give or take. And then 4 to 500, you're looking down about 8%. So those two markets, which that's really with our average and our median sale prices, those are affordable houses. Those are first-time home buyers coming in. That's where we're seeing a big decrease and a big hit on things. And those are some of the two of the biggest ones. You get down here into the 150 to 200, and then of course down into that 60 to 80 range. We're not really going to factor those in too much. Those are more investment properties that you see. So really kind of that 150 to 200 and 3 to 500 is where we see a lot. Now, coming down here too, let's look at our active listings. When we come into our active listings, looking at our active listings, look at all these numbers. You get we're looking, below 100 where you see the number of active listings are down. Everything else above that, we're seeing positive numbers. This is what we talked about before of, hey, there's more inventory on the market. There's more people who are putting their homes on the market. And these things, people are just up. People are putting their houses on the market. Where you look, some of our biggest growth numbers, once again, the number of $1 million plus active on the market is up 17% year over year. Big numbers. 17% is a big number. You get into our 3 to 400 and our 400 to 500. Those are up too. 500 to 750. Those are up too. One reason that we might not be seeing, and this is just with me talking with customers every single day, on this 3 to 400 range where we might not be seeing as much on the market, is because where are they going to go? And I had this conversation with a customer yesterday of, hey, Steven, we want to sell our house. What does it look like for the next house we go to? And with the way that the interest rates are, it really kind of pigeonholes them. They bought their house 3 or 4 years ago. They're in the high 2s, low 3s on interest rate. They're going to now go and double their interest rate, being into the 6s. And so from them going from a $300,000 to $400,000 house, their next move up house is going to be, $500,000 to $750,000. They need more space. They've got more kids, all that type of stuff. They're getting kind of stuck. And this is really what I want to lead into for 2025 is I think we're going to see more of that, and people are going to have to kind of take that jump. They're going to have to take that step. They're going to say, hey, we've been in our 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. We had 2 kids. Now we have 3, or now we have 4 kids. They've held off on wanting to take that jump because, hey, we're going to make it work. But now what's going to happen, and I really think we're going to see a lot of this in 2025, is those people are going to start taking that jump. They're going to say, hey, for the lifestyle, for more space, a bigger yard, we want to be in a good school area for our kids. Boom, this is what's going to happen. They're going to start making that jump. So I really expect to see this 3 to 400 or 4 to 500 coming up in the next few months. Those numbers are really going to shoot up of active listings. People are going to make those jumps, especially, and you can check me on this, once we get into the spring, which is one of the biggest times to list, which we saw from this past year, is people are going to just go, hey, we're ready to go. Kids are out of school. We're going to make this transition. We're going to make this jump. So I really think we're going to see this 3 to 4, 4 to 5 range. I think we're going to see that really jump up and start growing of the number of active listings, which is going to pull other people in, which is going to pull your current renters in. They're going to get into the market. They've stabilized to the interest rates, and they're going to say, hey, it's time to make a move. So as we continue to look at this, it really gives us an idea of everything that's happening here in the market. Even when we look down here, total active listings, we're up about 6%. So it's about 3,000 homes that were up year over year. So it's up, but that kind of balances out, with the decrease in the amount of closed sales by 6%. So active listings, up 6%. The amount of closed sales, down 6%. So that's where we're getting that balance. But still within all of that, the market and the economy for homes here in Northeast Florida is still good. Especially for you as a homeowner, we're still seeing growth in sale. We're still seeing growth in sales numbers. So the value of your home is going up. We've just got to price it right when you go to sell it. And once again, this is why I pulled this information for you. This is real hard data. I pulled this morning right before filming this video. So you had up-to-date information of what is going on here in Northeast Florida, here in the market for 2024. Now, let's get a little bit into my prediction for 2025. I've already talked a little bit about it, of certain markets we're going to see bumping and popping and all those type of things. I think that is true. The other thing that I think we're really going to be seeing here in 2025 is that we are going to see a continued growth in what is classified in Northeast Florida as the luxury market. So a lot of people define luxury here in Northeast Florida as $1 million plus. I kind of say that $700,000-$800,000 range. I think we're going to continue to see a growth in that. We have a lot of other economic factors that are happening here in the city. We have new jobs being announced, new warehouses, the downtown with the Jaguars. We've got things going on in the port. We've got a lot of things happening, which is going to keep pulling people into Northeast Florida. And it's just going to keep growing. It's going to keep growing and keep growing. Now, what I would say is my overall big, bold prediction for 2025, it's really not that big or bold. I think we're going to see a very similar year to what we had in 2024. I think we're going to see home pricing still go up. I think we're going to see it, in that probably 5 to 7%. And then I think our sales will still kind of be around these same numbers that we're looking in 2024. I think we're going to see steady growth as it comes. I think people are much more aware of what's going on with their finances and how their monthly budget is impacted by housing. The big thing that's going to affect all of this is what happens in the rental market. If the rental market continues to decline, which we've seen rental numbers that have gone down about 5 to 8%, depending on what part of town here in Jacksonville you are. As those continue to go down, that could hold people in renting. So if we see rental numbers start bumping up a little bit, then hey, that's going to have an inverse effect. If rental numbers go up, people are going to be looking to buy. If rental numbers go down, then people are going to be staying where they're at because financially it doesn't make sense. Hey, we can move to another rental and we're not going to be paying more than we would with a mortgage or anything like that. So that's the big caveat that I'll keep updating you on, is what's happening with the rental numbers and how that factors in to housing numbers and closed sales and all of those things. So for 2025, I really think we're going to see a lot of the same. We're going to continue to see steady increase in sale prices. We're going to see steady, small growth numbers in terms of number of closed sales. But overall, here in Northeast Florida, I think it's going to be kind of the same thing that it was before, that we've seen in 2024. Interest rates are going to be stable. They might come down a little bit. If they come down, things are going to kind of jump up. People are going to dive back in and really get into the housing market. So I hope that you enjoyed and appreciated my overview of 2024 and what's going to happen in 2025. Please give me a like, subscribe, throw a comment down below if you have any questions about what's happening in real estate here in Northeast Florida.